Hi, besties, and welcome. This is the Rae of Life Podcast, and I'm your host, Rae, and I'm so glad that you joined me here today. This is the second episode in this Rae of Life podcast, and this is really a passion project of mine. This is not highly technical or even like aesthetically pleasing to watch. It's very amateur and it's a learning experience for me. But the reason why I am launching this podcast is because I truly have so much information to share with you, and I am so passionate about helping people navigate through breast cancer that I really have so much to say to you all that's like pouring out of my heart and my soul to you. And I'm finally at the point where I don't care if this video looks perfect or if my camera is the best. I mean, my mic is a $30 mic, but I have so much to say and share with you all that we're doing it. We're doing the damn thing. So this is the Rae of Life podcast. I am your host, Rae. And on this episode, I will be sharing with you all of the reasons why you need to come over and subscribe to this channel, this podcast, and follow along with my journey, because I really feel like I have so much useful and helpful information that I want to share with you. It's kind of like, think of it as a toolkit to navigate through all of life's challenges. I've learned so much through my journey with breast cancer. I touched on it briefly in my first video that you could find at Rae of Life 77 here on YouTube, obviously, because you're watching me now. But there is a video that I posted last Monday, and how that came about is I was sitting on a layover. Fun fact, I'm a flight attendant, and I was on a layover in Ontario, California, with really nothing to do. And as I was mindlessly watching YouTube, as I do most of the time, I had this like sudden urge to finally share some things with you all that I haven't done in so long, and it just felt so good. The video's in a different format because I wanted to make some TikToks and reels out of it. I still need to learn how to like pull pieces. Well, I mean, I know I still need to sit down and pull pieces of that video to put on other platforms. But all of that to say that this has been a goal of mine for a very, very, very long time. I want to say I was originally going to guess 5 years, but I've been a flight attendant now for over 5 years. I'm coming up on 6 years, and I had the idea to launch this podcast before I became a flight attendant, after my second breast cancer diagnosis. So I am coming up on a decade of really sitting and letting so much time pass and not sharing so many things that I think you will find so helpful. So all that to say that this is not going to be the prettiest video you watch. It's not going to be the most aesthetically pleasing or highly technical, but it is going to be a podcast and video podcast packed full of useful, helpful information for you. So who am I and why should you watch me? Well, my name actually, for those of you that don't know me, my first name is actually Lynette, and it's not Lynette, Annette, or I've been called Rynette. It's Lynette, like L-I. And the reason I chose to use Rae, which is my middle name, my name is Lynette Rae. I chose Rae for part of the name of this podcast is because I really couldn't find, I wanted it to identify with me and use my name, but my first name is, I find myself correcting myself all the time. I mean, I had mentioned I'm a flight attendant, and a lot of times I will go to work and my wings will say Rae, because I don't know how many times a day I correct somebody on the pronunciation of my name. And I used to be the type of person that would let it slide. I'd let people call me Annette or Lynette all the time for years and years and years, decades. But finally I got to the point where that's not my name. I wanted my name to be pronounced right. So I started going by Rae sometimes at work. I started going by Rae after I named my podcast. Well, I wanted to name my podcast Rae, the podcast that didn't exist at the time. So I went with Rae, and as I was naming this podcast, I was really trying to find a name that would kind of encompass who I am today and embrace who I am today. And a lot of that came about because I am such a different person today than I was after my second or even first breast cancer diagnosis. I really came to a point where I started creating and living the life that I always wanted to live. And through this journey with breast cancer, I have grown and learned so much, and I started blossoming into this person that I used to maybe think I could be, but now I'm even better. So it's kind of like I'm Lynette 3.0 because I've had 3 different breast cancers. It's kind of funny. But so I really just started creating this life that is fulfilling, beautiful, and scarred, heavily scarred. But my scars don't bother me because my scars are battle wounds. They're battle scars that really helped shape who I am today. So that's kind of how I named this podcast and this YouTube channel, Rae of Life. I'm also Rae of Life over on Instagram. And that's how I named the podcast. And I kind of sat on that. I probably named this podcast 5 years ago. And it took me a couple of years to name it after the idea to do it. And then I went years, almost a decade, of pretending to start and not starting. I would build some artwork for the podcast. I looked into building a website. I bought a mic. And I kind of just let too much time go by, which is why now I don't care if it's pretty, beautiful, perfect. I mean, this is far from perfect, but I'm sharing with you everything I need to share, and everything that you are going to hear, watch, and learn from this passion project is all going to be from the heart and personal experience. So I hope you find it helpful. I have been trying to decide how I want to share with you my journey, but it's such a long, complicated journey because I've had 3 different breast cancers. So thinking I'm going to break each one up into their own separate episode so that I could talk about each one, because the treatment plans for each are very different. The diagnosis of them is very different. And they're all they're not related cancers. One didn't come from the other. They weren't the same type. They're all extremely rare. And I also have an extremely rare gene mutation. I should buy more lotto tickets because I have so many rare things, like more rare things than, already first breast cancer, rare. Second breast cancer, rare. Being diagnosed at a very young age under their 40s, rare. Third breast cancer, even more rare. Gene mutation that almost nobody heard of, even more rare. So that's like 5 episodes right there. But so I have a lot to share, and I have a lot that I learned along the way. And also going back to life, this is also about lifestyle and how to build and create the life that you want to live. I really feel that I learned how to make some big changes and some big moves for myself to grow both internally and grow professionally, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a work colleague. So it's really weird to say, but breast cancer has changed my life for the better, and I'm grateful for it now, even though it was super scary when I went through it. Like, looking back, there were so many times I was terrified. There were some days where I had really high highs and really low lows. And kind of just, it turns your life upside down. So when you're in the moment, you don't think that, oh my gosh, this is going to change me for the better. But it really did change me for the better. And I'm grateful for that learning experience and coming out on the other side. I mean, to say I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor kind of makes me feel, chest puffed out, beaming. Like, it's an accomplishment. Surviving one cancer is an accomplishment. So I feel so empowered, and I want to empower you. I want to help you feel empowered and help you feel great about yourself, because some accomplishments in life are just like, some days it has me awestrucken. But there are also some days where I'm like, why? Even though you shouldn't sit there and think, why me? Why did this happen? Everything happens for a reason. And I like to think that maybe one of the reasons why I was faced with so many challenges is because the person I was 16 years ago, because I'm 46 today, my first breast cancer diagnosis came at age 31. So about 16 years ago, the person I was then is, if I were to meet me, if I were to be on the outside meeting myself 16 years ago, I wouldn't like me. I wouldn't like who that person was if I were to never change. So I kind of am grateful for the fact that cancer has helped shape me into the person that I am today, because I wouldn't have enjoyed myself. And I had to make some changes in my life. I didn't know it at the time, because at that age you think you know everything. And I thought my life was perfect. I thought that I was perfect. I thought that I couldn't get any better. Like, how could I possibly be any better than I was? And really, I wasn't a very pretty person. Not by physical looks, I'm saying, but like from the inside, I wasn't a very enjoyable person. Not that I was terrible. Okay, so here's a look. So I was a little bit spoiled, maybe, entitled, didn't appreciate the things that I had in my life at that time. And cancer will do things to you where you have this different appreciation for things. So, so it's really a lot about creating a life you want. And as far as navigating through an obstacle like breast cancer, I really have some good tools, I guess, like a toolkit that I could share with you on how you could give yourself an exam if you think you might be experiencing symptoms, what it's like to go to a doctor's office, and are you asking your doctors the right questions, how to have a voice for yourself when it's hard for you to voice things out loud. I mean, before I used to be such a quiet, timid person, and I would let things slide and let things roll away. But when you're faced with something like breast cancer, you cannot let anything slide. You have to have a voice, and sometimes you have to have a very big voice. And I learned that really fast, because when I was diagnosed with my first breast cancer back in 2010, I was 31. They wouldn't give me a mammogram at my doctor's office in Washington. I actually ended up traveling all the way to Alaska to a different doctor, and then went back to Washington. And that doctor in Alaska told me, you have to go back and you have to advocate for yourself, and do not leave your doctor's office until they give you a mammogram. The doctor in Alaska knew. In Washington, at the doctor's office, they were trying to blow me off. And they were like, oh, you can't get a mammogram under the age of 40. You're too young. So that's what I mean about having a voice and advocating for yourself, because that doctor told me how to go back, and he helped me with the words to say to my doctor. So I made sure that I got a mammogram. So we're going to be talking about things like that, like how to empower yourself and how to make sure that you're being the best advocate for yourself here on this podcast. We are going to talk about preparing for a surgery, healing from a surgery, how your loved ones can help you heal from a surgery. What is it like to go through radiation? How can your family help you go through radiation? How to help your family cope with a diagnosis like cancer, because it's not only you being affected, everyone in your bubble is being affected. And how can you also be there if you have children, a spouse, your sister, your parents? I mean, cancer affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and we'll talk about how you can help be there while still taking care of yourself through a cancer diagnosis. We'll talk about my 3 different types of breast cancer. We can talk about fun things. I mean, creating your life is fun. I have been a flight attendant for 5 years. Maybe you don't want to be a flight attendant, but maybe you have a goal to be whatever your goal may be, and you don't know how to get from where you are today to these big goals that you have. I am a firm believer in like envisioning yourself at that highest point in your life and then speaking it out loud, speaking what your goals are into existence, manifesting. What does it look like? How can you attract the life that you want? So that's going to be part of this Rae of Life podcast. There are some fun things in here, and not everything is going to be heavy. I've had 14 surgeries throughout my journeys with breast cancer, 35 rounds of radiation. So there's a lot, and so much testing in between. My breast cancer and my gene mutation are not hereditary. So if it's not hereditary and it doesn't run in my family, how did I end up with it? Another rare thing. So there are so many things that are spewing out of me that I can't even wrap my head around it. And with that being said, everything that I'm saying to you in my first episode and this episode is not scripted. I'm not sitting down following a script. Everything that's coming out of me is really coming from my heart, and it's been on my mind to share with you all for so long. So it's going to be a little bit rough, and I hope I will learn along the way how to help it flow better, how to make my videos more aesthetically pleasing, incorporating sound. I have an introduction and an outro that I recorded probably 3 years ago for my podcast, but it's still relevant today. So I want to piece those on each end of my video to kind of make it seem a little bit more elevated. So that's coming. I am also excited that if you're watching this now and the episode I posted on Monday, you get to watch me grow in this journey on the Rae of Life podcast. And who knows, I have so much content that it would fill more than 20, 50, even 100 episodes. There's a lot to look forward to here. And I'm so happy that we're doing this. And I'm also excited to learn from you what you are hoping to get out of this podcast. What are you looking forward to? What questions do you have for me? How can I help you navigate this obstacle in your life and come out a winner, a champion, a survivor in the end when you're facing something like breast cancer? Or how can I help you be there for your loved one if they are facing a cancer diagnosis? So there's so much. Before I end this episode, I will say I can also add in some things about travel. Being a flight attendant, I do travel a lot for work, but I also made myself a priority in going through something like breast cancer and really have started working on some bucket list items. I really don't like that term, bucket list items. I want to come up with something better. But I had some places that I've always wanted to travel to, and when you have cancer, you kind of just, I'm not going to lie, there are days you worry, and you worry how many more experiences you have ahead of yourself. So one thing that's big for me is travel, which is part of the reason why I'm a flight attendant. So I do want to share with you some fun places that I think you absolutely need to go to if you have not been there yet. I have had some really fun adventures. My husband and I call them adventures, in Paris, Germany, Switzerland. I've been to Italy twice. I absolutely love Italy. I've toured a lot of Europe. Not a lot. I mean, Europe's huge, but I've been to a few places in Europe, Amsterdam, and places that I would have said before, like, I will never make it there. But you find a way to make things like that happen when you have a scare like cancer. But also, don't go there thinking that you're never going to go back. I mean, go there thinking, how could I make this the best adventure that I'm on? So I'm going to share with you some adventures, some travel adventures. I've also been to a lot of places in Mexico, Hawaii. So hopefully I have some fun travel tips to share with you, or experiences, and we could talk about places that I really think that you should experience in life at least once. So you have that to look forward to on this episode, or this podcast, as just to name a few fun things. The reason why I started this on YouTube first is because I watch a lot of YouTube videos. For one, a lot. I spend a lot of time on YouTube on my layovers. And a lot of the creators that I watch to learn how to do things like this say that you should start your project wherever on the platform that you spend the most time. And I really do spend the most of my time on YouTube. I will learn how to pull the audio from this and actually put it on a hosting platform for podcasts. So there'll be an audio version out there. And some of my goals is to grow into a website and the audio podcast, the video podcast here on YouTube, and also grow friendships, because I have so many lasting, precious friendships from my journeys with breast cancer that really do mean a lot to me. So it's not about growing myself and growing a following. It's more about growing relationships between people who are there for each other, people who are empowering each other, lifting each other up, walking with each other, and running with each other. And really just focusing on creating the life you want. So if all of that sounds like something that you would be interested in, then please come over and subscribe to my channel. It feels so fun to say that because I have been hearing that from other creators for years. But now I get to say, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so that you know when I upload future videos. My plan is to upload a video for the Rae of Life podcast every Monday and Thursday, no matter where I'm at. I filmed my first one in Ontario, California. Today I'm in Los Angeles, California on Thursday. And who knows where I'll be? Well, actually, next Monday is Christmas. I will still hop on here on Christmas, though. And next Thursday, I think I will be in Cancun. Stay tuned, because that might change. Flight attendant life is ever-changing. So I hope you found this helpful. Please go to the comment section and let me know what you thought of it. And I know there's going to be people out there that are cringing to watch this because it's not perfect. And I don't care that it's perfect or not. I just care that you are going to get something out of this. So if you have something specific that you want to learn from me, please let me know in the comments. You could send me an email. You can also find me over on Instagram at Rae of Life as well. And I can't wait to see you back here for the third episode of the Rae of Life podcast. Hit the love button if you found this video helpful, entertaining, whatever. I would appreciate all of that. And I can't wait to hear what you would like to get out of me here at this podcast. Thank you so much, besties, for watching, and I will see you next time.